What is it?
Huh?
The one right in front there.
I showed it to you. All right, I'm live, sweetie. Well, good evening, folks. Welcome to the Michael and Nancy live show. We have a special guest tonight that's going to talk about the history of our New Rochelle coin, and I'm glad you're all joining us. Can't even tell who's in here yet. Four people, maybe.
Oh, I see four. More
Yeah,
so far.
yeah. And I'm assuming there. Yep.
Oh,
Hey,
there's
Amy.
Amy. Hey, Amy.
Thought you. All right.
Hey, Frostbite.
Hi, Nancy.
Nanny.
She's so funny. Seeing that.
Hey, Curtis family.
Hey, Curtis family.
Or don't know that's my nickname for you.
One of them.
Life is. Oh well, we'll be all right. Hey, Richard.
Hey, Richard.
All righty. So let me introduce you to Frostbite.
Hey, Amy. Hey, Grant.
Good to see you, friend.
Hey,
Rob.
Ross. Hey, Jeff.
What's going on, everybody? How you doing?
Woo. Coming in. I'm gonna switch this over for a moment. I think. How do I get it over there?
Down on the bottom, there's little ones. There should be a 2 or 3 block. Click on the 3 block, and it'll bring up 3 different windows.
Yeah, I'm looking for the 3 block.
It's right underneath the big main picture.
Okay, got you. Yeah. Woohoo!
Now that's your
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Oh,
welcome, Frostbite, and thank you for coming and to spend some time and talk to us about the history of this coin. Uh, one of the things I found interesting is I was doing a little bit of checking it out. They originally minted 25,015, and they took back 9,749 of them and melted them, leaving like 1,526, I think, or no, excuse me, 15,266 coins left in the world, if they're still around. Interesting thought and a little bit of history there. And I'm going to let Frostbite take it from here. He's going to talk. He's going to share about the coin and its history, and I think you're all going to enjoy it. Come on up there, Frostbite, and share your story.
absolutely. First off, I'm honored that you would have me up. Thank you so much for doing that. If you'll do me a favor, I have down in the thing that shared screen. If you will pull up that shared screen, and then the little banner that you have saying the special guest, let's remove that so that I can see all the elements of the. Um, there you go. Now click on that down below. You'll see the picture of the New Rochelle that we have there.
Oops. What the heck did I do? I see it, but I'm not sure which one it is.
There you go.
I'm learning. Woohoo!
Yeah, you've got it. All right. So the coin that Michael's talking about is this one right here. Now, some of you have already seen this, some of you have not. I'm actually working on a series to do videos about all of these. I'm about 40 to 50 videos in, and I still have more to go to cover this particular series. It's a massive commemorative series. And the one thing about the 1938 New Rochelle, this was to celebrate the 250th anniversary, and it comes from this collection. The collection started in 1892 and goes all the way up until 1954. Now, like the other ones, it was created in a program where people were trying to utilize the coins to make money for events. Now, these events might have been to commemorate the World's Fair. It might have been a tricentennial or a bicentennial or a tercentenary. And so, whatever the element might have been, there were commemorative coins that put in. Now, today at my live stream, we talked about something regarding a proposal that's out there, and that's the Trump coin. And in order for a coin to be actually turned into a United States-based piece of currency or coinage, there has to be a public law. The public law associated with this one is located here on the screen, 74556. Now, Congress passed the law. It was signed May 5th, 1936. But there's a really interesting fact about this coin that a lot of people don't know. Did you know that it bears the date 1938, but it wasn't minted in 1938? It was actually minted a year earlier, 1937. But because they wanted to make sure this was the 250th anniversary, they put that down as 1938. So when you see this, 1938 isn't the year this coin was minted. It was actually 1937. So just a little bit of Rochelle coin trivia for you. So this coin was key. It was a historic piece. Now, this was a design made by the Mint until 1946. And a lot of the coins that were done for local events were not necessarily political based, but there were a lot of political fights in the series of these particular things. Somebody asked, was it 90%? Yes, it was 90% silver, 10% copper. It was 0.36 troy ounces of silver. The weight is 12.5 grams. The diameter is 30.6 millimeters, or about 1.2 inches. Remember, when there's a public law about a coin, it gives you the very specifics. It tells you what's on the front, the back. It tells you the weight, the diameter. It tells you the thickness. All of that information is going to be included in this. All right, so all the technical specifications aside, why did they do this coin? Well, the main goal of this was to celebrate the 250th anniversary of New Rochelle. Now, this is obviously a colony in New York, but there was another one, and we talked about this already, raise money, right? The law allowed the local sponsor, which is the Commemorative Coin Committee, to order these in 50-cent denominations. And as Michael stated, there were 25,000 of them ordered. Now, how did they choose the design on this? Well, it went to the CFA, which is the Commission of Fine Arts. The committee hired Gertrude Lothrop, and that was a person who designed the Albany Charter hat. You'll see that name there at the bottom. And she was the one who actually designed this. And this is the person who the CFA approved February 18th, 1937. So let's talk a little bit about the front of the coin. The front of the coin is a very specific historical event with a picture of somebody named John Pell. Now, this is the man who owned the land leading from the famous fat calf. This is the design that tells of original story of a land sale in 1689. And we're talking about a couple hundred years before this, right? 250th anniversary. The purpose of this was to talk about a contract that was done, the Huguenot sale. You guys know that there's a Huguenot dollar. That's going to be something that we'll talk about that. I'm hearing a little bit. And again, this was something just to commemorate a very important cell regarding that. The secondary thing was to talk about New Rochelle, New York, and the settling of New Rochelle in 1688. Again, incorporated in 1899. On the back, you're going to see the fleur de lis. A lot of people think that's an iris, but it's actually not an iris. It's actually the fleur de lis. Now, this is a stylized lily, but it's the symbolic icon of France, and it honors the city's first settlers, who were French Protestants, which were the Huguenots, and they were escaping from persecution. It's a very common story about early America and the search for religious freedom. And so, again, it's just another one of those basic stories, but it is an iris, but that's actually representing the fleur de lis. I don't know if you know this, Michael, but there was some issue caused with this. It was extremely strange to have the cattle kind of on the front of it. And when they issued the design and it was chosen, the criticism about this coin was so strong that Franklin Delano Roosevelt, later on would call a stop to all of the commemorative coins. So they said, we're done. Like, there was such a big stink about this that they were like, we can't mint this coin anymore. And the president actually gained into this and said, we're going to stop. Now, Michael said earlier that 25,000, it was actually 25,015. Now, there were 15 extra coins that were utilized and given to the Assay Commission. All of these were struck at the Philadelphia Mint in 1937, as I stated before. How much did it cost if you want to buy these? $2. Again, when you're talking about premiums, this is a 50-cent coin. So you're talking a very, very, very expensive coin back in the early or the late 1830s. Useless mintage is super low. So, or unless the mintage is super low. So when they had this, 25,015 was the total mintage with the assay pieces. The total pieces that were returned and melted down, the cells were not very good on this particular coin. There was a lot of trouble regarding this particular coin.
Hey, Richard.
And they ended up melting 9,749 of these, leaving a total mintage of about 15,266, which is what Michael talked about earlier. So again, he already gave you the mintages, but let me tell you something about silver coins. It's estimated that only about 50% to 70% of the coins that were expected in the mintage to actually even be around anymore. When you look at these particular coins, not only is there probably less than 15,000, I'd say it's probably closer to maybe 10 or 12, because a lot of these were melted down. We're going through a cycle right now with silver so high that a lot of numismatic coins are being melted, right? You see these things and people are saying, stop the melt, stop the melt. And what happens is, even though the mintage of 15,000 is out there, we don't know how many of these got melted down, right? And so we genuinely don't have a really good idea of the total mintage. A lot of people are like, hey, Frosty, well, that's not true. Why don't you just go to PCGS or NGC and you can look at the population reports? Population reports don't help either. And I'll explain why. The population reports are the number of coins that agency has graded. However, it doesn't tell you how many times the agency graded the same coin. A lot of people play what's called the crack-out game. And if you are shooting for an MS-67 or an MS-68, and you keep getting 67, 67, 67, you crack it out, send it back in. You don't tell the people that you cracked it out of the previous folder, and you send it in. Hopefully you can get that higher grade. And so there's a lot of misrepresentation when people say, well, the mintages on there are, they total up to, 13,500. Well, great. But there could be 8,000 of those that were taken 3, 4, 5 times. We simply don't have good numbers and good estimates by which to base it off of. So, a relatively um, educated guess, and I say guess, okay, because I can't quantify this with an actual number, would probably be closer to about 8,500 to about 10,000 are still available today. There might be more, there might be less, but based off of what you would see normal in melts and kind of the normal attrition of things, coins being lost, if you take about a third of the population, in this case, you take about 5,000 out of that 15,000 set, it leaves us at about 10,000. That's a pretty decent estimate.
Hello.
It's just a guess. Did you say something, Nancy?
I'm just saying hello to Bellows. He just came on.
Oh, copy that. I just want to make sure I didn't interrupt you. So again, when we're talking about the population, be aware of that. Now, when we talk about high quality coins and them handling with care, remember that during this time frame, most of the way you got these was through mail order. So they really were concerned about the packaging. And so you were talking about the high price of $2 per coin. The serious collectors were really concerned about making sure that they arrived in mint state. So they took great care of this. And the grading service NGC, you'll see that there's no grading on these coins. They're just raw examples of that. They've been, taking pictures from. But NGC lifts this out at an average grade of this issue for MS65, which means that the MS66 that Michael and them have, say it's a little bit higher. Now, PCGS takes that normal average issue from 64 to 66, but again, 66 is on the higher end. So at your MS66, that's a pretty decent grade for this particular coin. If you find one in a lower grade, it's actually harder than finding these in higher grades because a lot of people collected these and they put them aside. But be aware, these were also able to be spent. And so if you had one and you looked at it and you got tired of looking at the cow, you could have taken it and bought, 10 books of stamps or something like that back in the day. And so they were spent, and these were coins that could be spent. And so in many cases they were. So the quality of the coins, for the most part, are really, really nice. When you look at the grade levels, depending upon the counts, again, we talked about these. The PCGS count is about 1,500, 1,450, 1,500, whereas NGC, it's only 951. If you look at the number that are higher than MS65, PCG, it's about 983, if my calculations were correct. Again, I just ran through the numbers and added these, so that might be off a little bit. And then NGC was about 580. Many of them were available 66, 67. So again, when you talk about population reports, we don't know how many times those are cracked open. Real quick, yours is it PCGS? Michael?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So looking at higher than MS65, you're looking at about, I would say 900, just give it a fair guess, that are either at MS66 or higher. So a pretty decent mintage for the grade. But again, because they were pretty well kept, you're going to see higher grades in this particular coin. The price for it, well, it depends. Sometimes you can get good deal. Michael, I don't need to know what you paid for it. You don't need to be telling people what you paid for it. But if you're going to get something, they kind of vary, and it really depends on the grade. It really depends on who graded it. You'll see a couple differences between PCGS and NGC, and the range, couple $100 to almost $500. Now you get higher than 65, 66, you're looking at a lot more money. So if you spent $400 for the coin, It's probably worth 500 now, and so. But again, those are estimates. Okay, just estimates. But again, you won't see huge prices in these simply because people took really good care of them. Okay. Let's see. I did do an infograph that I can share with you guys, and I'll send it to you. You can put it in your community chat, or I can put it in mine and say, hey, if you're interested in looking more about this, this is kind of the flow of that. But I want to talk to you really quick about the history, and then we're just kind of going to wrap it up for the New Rochelle. I don't want to take up too much time. So again, 1688. Let's try to get that right. New Rochelle was founded and settled by the French Huguenot refugees. September 20th, 1689, the contract was signed, and this is the fat calf. That's what the obverse of that coin represents. When we get to May 5th of 1936, Public Law 74556 was listed. 1937, Gertrude Lathrop designed the coin, and it was approved by the CFA. In 1937, the Philadelphia Mint struck 25,015 of these coins. Again, we talked about the number destroyed, leaving it at about 15,000. 1938 was the date required on this coin, but again, for trivia buffs, you see 1938. Remember that coin was struck in 1937. And 9,746 of these remained unsold and were melted down, which left the number that Michael was talking about with the 15,266. So that's a quick summary of the chronology of the Rochelle half dollar. There's more information. If you want to know more, I can send you guys just a quick summary. But that is the coin in a nutshell. And again, if you're looking on the reverse and you're wondering what that is the fleur de lis. It is not a lily. So just FYI.
Wow. Very nice. Appreciate that, Stacking Surfer. Very much. Let's see if we can go back down to the lower level, but I'm not sure which one I'm going to hit. So I'm going to try this one, and then we'll see.
I don't see Stacking Surfer in chat.
Yeah, he's here.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
He says, appreciate you, Frostbite.
Good to see you, Stacking Surfer.
Oh, that's southeast. Okay, I got you.
Oh, that was southeast.
What? Okay. You just got a surfboard southeast and you didn't know it.
Woo-hoo, hey, Ken, brother. So did you guys enjoy that? Again, Michael and I were talking about it. We were talking about potential stories that we could do, and we were looking at stuff. He's really proud of this New Rochelle, and we wanted to talk a little bit about that, kind of talk about what was going on. And I was like, I definitely can pull up some information on this. Now, the information that I just gave you is exactly what's in the script that I wrote for the video. So when I release the video, that's going to be the exact same thing. So you guys have gotten, basically 2 months early, the New Rochelle video. So you guys are the first members to that particular video.
Yeah. So yeah, spit it out. Frostbite is doing videos of all these new or rather these beautiful commemoratives that they've made. And you said they started. When did you say they started? 18 something.
Yeah. So the first one was the Columbian Exposition, 1892-1893, along with the Isabella Quarter. Those were the first commemoratives, and that was the first World's Fair. And again, those were two of the primary coins. Obviously, the Isabella Quarter being one that is phenomenal and just absolutely beautiful piece. Yeah, a couple full bell lines there southeast. They're just a little bit of fun. It's not as nice as the other coin that I have here. Let me throw this one up real quick. How about that one?
Oosh. How do I get you in there? Hold on a sec. Let me see something. Is that it? Nope, wrong one. Sorry about that.
3 wide windows,
3 wide.
and then I will remove, not that one, the one to the right of it. Okay, maybe not.
You're blanked. You've been
I know
blanked.
that's what the screen looks like, so I'm not able to help. There should be one that shows like just two screens,
2 screens.
and they look like wide screens, not close together.
Hey,
What's up,
T-Bird.
scrap metal? There you go.
Still don't have you in here big time.
No, but this is good. It's okay. That's all we need. They can see this.
Okay. I got a little box in here, so I'm not seeing it too well.
What's going on, T-Bird? How you doing, brother? Yeah, so
Hey,
that one is
T-Bird.
95 double die verse. That's the MS67. That is
Hey,
FS801,
T-Bird.
I believe.
Yeah. Hey, T-Bird.
I did a story on this particular coin and how 1995 can tell you a little bit about how the United States Mint is funded. So if you haven't seen that one, go check that one out. That was fun as well.
Cool. Cool.
Well, cool beans.
I
So
appreciate
what else you
that.
guys want to talk about?
I don't know. Did you guys want to hear another or I'm trying to think hordes something about what do you got on your hoarding stories? Can we
Oh, so the other story that I planned for you guys, which is the Outlaws Economy. This is something about the Bureau of Engraving and Printing and how the establishment of the Bureau of Engraving and Printing actually caused a massive crime wave to increase. Um, the way that they structured deliveries and stuff like that actually increased the amount of wild robberies and stuff like that. And this is what we hear about with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and the different groups. We think of, the various outlaws and stuff that are associated with this. And I put together a little story kind of talking about some of those people and the Wilcox gang or the Reno gang heist. So if you guys are interested in listening to that, we can definitely talk a little bit about that.
put a one in the chat if you'd like to hear a good story about bank robbers, train robbers, and the Mint.
Hey, my here.
Nancy says one. I say one. Oh, one more.
Dalton gang.
One.
So the Dalton gang was really interesting because the Dalton gang, they were, and don't take this the wrong way, folks, they were the hit it and quit it scheme. They were the get in 3 minutes and be done. They wanted to go in guns blazing, middle of the day, and kind of tackle that bank and then get out of there before the townspeople really understood what was going on. They were the first crash and smash team. And so the Dalton gang carried a couple different things. Number one, they used dynamite and a lot of it, but they were also pretty brazen. They were pretty rough and tumble kind of people. So Dalton gang is a great story. I didn't include the Dalton gang in this particular one, but there's a lot of fun stories when we talk about this. I'm actually putting some stuff together, which is a series of numismatic connection to some of these stories. And I'll be dropping information, and periodically I'll come into Mike and Nancy's and talk to you guys about some of these. So if you guys are up for it, I've got a story that I can read you guys and then give you a couple quick ones. So if you want me to kind of give you the down and dirty, I can do that.
How about that, guys? I see a bunch of ones in there. Oh, goodness. I'm all for it. I did enjoy another story.
Yeah.
Neil K says one, so yeah. T-Bird's eating. Scrap metal's one. War says go for it.
Michael, I could have swore I heard you say crap metal instead of scrap metal.
Oh no, not that.
I was like, I don't think they're going to appreciate that. No, I'm just kidding.
Cheever's eating apple pie and ice cream.
Yeah, just tell us all about it there, T-Bird. You better bring it out. Send the plane.
Dandy Days, I got a one beside him.
Richard Posey, what about the 26 Huguenot $half?
So the 26 Huguenot $half is something that I definitely can talk about. I don't have a lot planned on that, but I do have some information that I can share with you guys if you really want to know more about that Huguenot. Now, the Huguenot, one thing that's really cool about that particular one is that it has a ship on it. If you guys know me, you guys know I love my ships. So the Huguenot tercentenary coin is actually one of those that I really like as a coin. But if you want me to give you the down and dirty, I can give you the down and dirty of the Huguenot tercentenary coin. You want me to do that?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Well, let me do this. So I want you to hold on. What did I do?
Yep.
I need to get to. Oh, you know why? Dang it. Hold on. I did something and now I've got to go undo what I did to be able to share what I did. Hold on just give me a second.
That ship brought my family to America.
The Huguenot Centurion. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so let me do this again. All right, so Michael, if you'll do me a favor, same story as before. Go to your the bottom and click on the little share screen thing that I have up there.
You talking about where you got your Frostbite coin picture?
Yep.
All right.
There you go. The Huguenot Walloon tercentenary $half, created in 1924. The public law was 67440. That number should look extremely familiar. It was the same one that was done for the other one, founding these particular ones. On the obverse, United States of America, Huguenot $half, In God We Trust, Coligny, and then William the Silent. William the Silent was actually the one in charge of the town. Actually wasn't really a founding, but he kind of had his hands off. A lot of really neat information about William the Silent. I don't have all that here. But let's talk a little bit about the coin. So what was the coin? Well, the United States Mint released the Huguenot Walloon tercentenary 1924. Its purpose, the 300th anniversary of the settling of the 1624 New Netherlands. This is the New York, by the Walloons. This was the French and Belgian, Huguenots. Now, this is with help of the Dutch West India Company. This is the ship you see here. And Admiral Gaspard de Coligny, we talk about that. That was the admiral who brought them over. And the Prince of Orange, also known as William the Silent. Now, they weren't actually directly involved, as I stated, but they were also people that were looking at dealing with the struggle of religious freedom. So these were the people that were put on the commemorative coin of founding New Netherlands. And again, 1624.
So can I
Quantity
interrupt
at
for
this
a minute?
point,
Can
Yeah.
I interrupt for a minute? I want to throw something in there. Understand, we have a different idea what the word religion means. Back then, religion did not mean other nations' idea of that, but rather it meant the different segment. That's not the right. I'll give you an example. Just like the Baptists and the Lutheran and the Catholics and the Protestant, and the Protestant were struggling with the Baptists were struggling with what state was that that he was talking about? I think it was up northeast, and Jefferson talked about it. They were asking Jefferson, president then, are you going to interfere with our religion? Are you going to force us to become Protestant? And he said, no, there's a wall between, right? There's where the wall came that protected, that Congress would make no law. Congress would make no law regarding religion. In other words, we're not going to make you up there that are Baptists become Protestants. That's what they were talking about back in that day. It was not about Islam, Buddhism, and all the other religions, Christianity, Judaism. It was about the Protestant. Yeah, and there is another thing too, right there that Gold Maple said down there at the bottom. William the Silent was Protestant, and the Dutch were Protestant, but were persecuted by the Catholic Spanish. And so let me jump down to Florida in the Jacksonville area where the Huguenots were, and they had built a settlement down there. The Spanish came in there and told them that they had to bow and submit to the Catholic Church or they were going to die. They would not, and they died. So that's where when we talk about the freedom of religion, we're talking about the freedom of the Protestants and worshiping how they want to, and the Baptists worshiping how they want to, and the Catholics, and all those different segments of Christianity. Now there's something maybe most of you hadn't heard. So when they talk about freedom of religion, most of the time they don't have no idea what they're talking about. And the Pilgrims left England because of the Church of England. They did not want. They were being persecuted by the King of England because of their particular faith. Martin Luther, yeah. So that's where most of the wars have been around. Is what you were. Were you a Protestant? Were you a Catholic? And they would go to war over that.
Thanks, Michael.
You're welcome.
So the total mintage of this, 300,000. But just like the other ones in this, only about half of those were struck. 142,080 pieces were out of Philadelphia. And again, you can find this coin in decent condition for about 130 to 150 bucks. Now, I know earlier, while Michael was talking about religion, somebody asked, mine's in great condition. Should I grade it? That is totally up to you. I don't ever recommend anybody grading it unless they have a fair idea of what it is, because you can spend 40, 50, 60, 70 bucks grading the coin and it doesn't increase its value because you don't understand the grade that it was supposed to be in. So unless you have a fairly good idea or understanding of grading the coins, you can ask somebody that you can take it to, because it's one of those things you have to look at and know how to grade. These older coins like this, there's very specific grading criteria. I don't know the grading criteria for this, so I wouldn't be much help.
It is a beautiful coin, though, ain't it?
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
Yeah.
So for not planning for it, there's the Huguenot tercentenary.
Yeah. Wow. So there's something interesting that I'm gonna look into. The Massachusetts and the church-state debate, which I think is what Jefferson was talking to him about. Interesting. Part of our history that we don't know, or we never heard of, or we many have just plain forgot. But there again, a lot of our history isn't being taught anymore.
So I'll stop sharing that because, again, we don't need to do that. So let's go ahead and dig into the Economy's Outlaw story that I created.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know about the gold rush 1848, right? We talk about the 49ers and the gold rush. And this was during a massive expansion westward. But the expansion westward happened way before this. The expansion westward started happening with the purchase of the Louisiana Territory, the Oregon Trail, Lewis and Clark's expedition. There were a lot of things that were happening where they were surveying the territory, documenting, mapping, doing it's not choreography. It's I can never remember the name of that. Map making. And they were kind of surveying and documenting rivers and trying to find that water route to that Northwest Passage. And so a lot of people think that the gold rush happened, but there was something interesting about the gold rushes of this time frame. If you look at the gold rushes, they spawned mints. Well, what was different about this particular story when we're talking about the economy of the outlaw cartography? Thank you. I always get that one mixed up for some reason. I can't remember the name of it. But thank you. When you're looking at 1862, something happened, and this was the creation of the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. Now, the goal was to create high quality, trustworthy paper, right? We're talking about currency that before this, it was the local banks, it was the local areas, and they were printing or minting their own money. And because of that, there was no set standard. And so it was really easy for people to counterfeit those things. And so the BEP's entire intent was to make it very difficult by creating high quality, trustworthy paper currency. And it made counterfeiting tough. However, the criminal element, aka our stars of our criminal enterprise, quickly found out that there was a new game in town. And the game in town wasn't about copying money at all. It was actually about getting the money and knowing the routes of the BEP, i.e., the trains, the banks, the wagon trains, or the wagon trails, those Western Union robberies, right? To really understand that those routes were places where they could kind of camp out. The official paper was the hardest part of counterfeiting, getting that paper right. Well, now they didn't have to worry about it anymore. And so all they had to do is they still the finished stuff, but they did it before it could be protected. So they hid it in transit. And again, this spread like wildfire. James Younger Gaines, the Wild Bunch, the couple groups that I talked about before, realized that robbing a train carrying a military payroll was a way better bet than trying to print their own crappy fakes. And they shifted from counterfeiting to this high stakes robbery game, and thus fueled the legend of the Wild West outlaw. And this was everywhere, right? You know this. This is something that has been kind of a history staple for all of us who are a little bit older. You know, the Old West, the cowboy, the lone cowboy, the group of people rides up behind the train. They attack it from the rear, and they go attack the place. They take the dynamite and they blow it up. And if you've ever watched the one with Robert Redford, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, there is a scene where they go put some dynamite next to a safe to blow up a building, and they blow that thing to kingdom come. Boom! Massive explosion, knocks everybody to the ground, and they look over and it's like, I think we used enough.
Right.
Well, this was actually quite common, and I talk about one of these, the James Wilder gang, And what they used to do is they used to take and get the train in a kind of a remote area. They knew there was a bridge. They would get that security car on one side of it, disconnect it, and then they'd blow up the bridge, and the rest of the train would kind of plummet down into the gorge. And why did they do that? Well, it kind of hid their feet, right? They would rob the stagecoach, rob the car, excuse me, and they would either blow it up or they would push it back over the edge and have it go down, tumble, and they would think it was a loss, send people down there, and they would leave some money, but they're like, oh, there must have been a massive explosion, and so they would be able to recover some, but they never would chase after the criminal because they had very smartly disposed of that. Well, unfortunately, one time they did this and they put way too much dynamite, basically blew the car to heaven. Just totally decimated it. And afterwards, the person who was in charge of the dynamite started understanding and learning how to judge a blast of a stick of dynamite. And so they didn't make that mistake again, but it was quite a fun little story. And so the last thing I want to do is I want to tell you a little bit about how they did it. So what the cycle of the crime was like. So the first thing, they would choose the target. They would do that high value, right? Where's that thing? Is it coming from the Mint? Is it coming from the BEP? Is it coming from maybe one of those reserve areas? And it wasn't a Federal Reserve or a reserve bank, but one of those reserve areas where all those gold miners were turning in their bullion and getting coin or paper money. But these little refineries and stuff had to ship stuff. They either had to get it to the Philadelphia Mint, they had to get it to the San Francisco Mint, which wasn't created at the time of this. And so they had to do this via wagon. Well, what happened is in 1869, if you guys know the Golden Spike in Utah, they finished the Continental Railroad. And so from the 1870s on, we saw huge, huge boosts in train attacks. And how do they do it? Well, obviously, they would get a masked rider. They would go to the front and they would try to take over the engine while the other ones were jumping on the train. And they were actually looking at the one car, that safe car, the protected car. And so they would, look for, whether it be paper money or bullion or whatever it was, they would get that money, blow up the safe or blow up that car, however they needed to do it. They would get their stuff and then they would get away. Now, why is it that so many of them were able to get away? Well, because of the unsettled wilderness that the West provided at that time frame. Remember, we're talking about the mid-1800s. And so when you're looking at that time frame, we didn't have towns that spread. We didn't have interstate highways. It was all wilderness country. And they would know these areas very, very well, whether they were Texas, Oklahoma, whether they were in the Carolinas, all the way up to Canada. Some of these groups pretty much traveled the entire U.S. Looking for these big scores. And, you guys, I did the Hunt Brothers, or not the Hunt Brothers, the one where I did about the train exercise and the $400,000 that was done and the $2 million in the 1 year, the 1924, that big brothers spree where they stole all the money. That was a story I told in your guys' channel. And so there's a lot of amazing stories that come from this time frame. But the reason they were able to disappear, the reason that they were so able to get away, was because they only had telegraphs in big towns. There wasn't great communication, and they knew the lay of the land, and they knew those tracks and trails that the cattle people would use, and they would travel parallel to those, so that they knew they could see where the cows were. They could poach a cow, they could feed themselves, and do those kind of things. So they were very familiar with the terrain. And a lot of people are like, well, how did they get away with this? How did they get away with this? Well, you would have people like Wyatt Earp, who was a previous criminal who turned lawman and knew where they thought, knew the trails, knew how to go find them. And those types of lawmen were the ones who became extremely successful during this time frame. So that's just a little bit of the Old West, kind of the structure and how the BEP, the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, the establishment of that actually was one of the causes for the increased Wild West. And
Wow.
so hopefully you guys have enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, I did. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I enjoy doing this kind of stuff. This is a video that I was creating. I just haven't ever finished it. And basically what I did is I just read you my outline of the script. So I should be putting that one out pretty quickly, but yeah, cool stuff. Lots of fun stuff.
Yeah, thank you. So you guys got a first time treat there. You know, I'm glad we got to hear those and yeah. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. Like I said, being a numismatist, I love stories. I like the connection to the history. And it doesn't matter if it's Mexican, Canadian, US, English, Spanish, French, Australian, Byzantine, Roman, Greek. It doesn't matter. I love history. I love tying the people to a coin. And, you know, like the coin that's sitting there on the table, you know, I look at that Benji, and what the Benji reminds me of is my grandfather. I look at the Lincoln cent double die, and there wasn't a whole lot that happened in 1995. I mean, it was the year my son was born. It was the year right before I got out of the military. But those aren't really, I mean, my son being born is a fun story. However, it's not tied to numismatics. So this is why I paired that 1995 with how the MIT makes their money and how they're self-sustaining and they don't govern themselves by taxpayer money. And so tying those things together, being able to look at history, being able to pick up a coin and go, hey, you want to hear a really interesting fact about this? I love that aspect of coin collecting. And so I try to tell stories as much as I can, do research. I'm a fairly decent storyteller, but I need to get a little bit better at it because it's something that I really enjoy.
What is this? You still with us?
Yeah.
I'm looking at something from Pure Metals, but it's got my name underneath of it. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened here. It's on my other show. I'll just have to jump out of it or something. I don't know what's going on there.
Maybe an advertisement.
No, it's Pure Metal Movement Moments. I think they're doing an auction there. I'll just go back to
Hey, Ohio.
There we go. I clicked on something trying to comment. Neil K wanted to know what he wants to get a platinum 98 Eagle graded, and he was wondering about your opinion about that. Hey, Ohio Fishing.
Say that one more time.
Yeah. He was interested to know what we thought about him getting a platinum 1998 Eagle graded. One thing, you got the money. Yeah.
Give you the same advice that I give everybody else. It all depends on what you want to do. I don't recommend in most cases getting things graded unless you're really good at understanding the potential of your coin. So do you know how to grade that particular coin? Do you know what the elements are? Do you know what the rub points are? Do you know what they look for were those areas that the grader's eyes are going to go to see if there's anything in the field. On that platinum coin, the 1998 In God We Trust Liberty with the sun and the eagle on the reverse, that $100 coin, there's a lot of area in the field on that particular coin on the reverse and not as much on the obverse. So they only take a couple seconds to look at the reverse. The obverse is pretty much the point of it, but you're not going to get great grades if your obverse isn't nice. And so it really depends. Now, if it's something where you bought the platinum coin from the US Mint and you've sat on it for all this time and it sat in a package and it's beautiful and shiny and it looks absolutely good, then absolutely, because if you're looking at something in the MS66 range, you're looking at something that's probably close to $1,700, $1,800, $1,900. If you're looking at something that is around that 68, 69 range, now you're into that $2,000, $2,100 range. And forbid you get one, there's only 7 of them known to PCGS, but an MS70, if you get an MS70 in that coin changes and now goes up to between $13,000 and $18,000. So if you think your coin has a true possibility, then yeah, you can get it graded. But let me give you a warning about that. You pay the grading fee according to the value of the coin. So if that thing comes back as a 70 and it becomes a $20,000 coin, you have to pay the grading fee associated with it. And that could be $1,500 or $1,800.
Yeah.
So you really have to take into consideration how much it's going to cost. So really understand the grading criteria, understand what you're looking for. If you're looking to flip it, can you turn a quick flip and make that money? What's your exit strategy? So there's a lot of things to consider when you're looking at a coin like that. Now, here's my personal viewpoint. Respect the hustle. Exactly. If you believe and you look at it and, you know, the slab is, or the holder it's in is in amazing shape. There's no scratches. It looks like a flawless coin. You send this in for grading. You paid $1,400 for it. You think it can get anywhere between 68 and 70. You can increase the profit by $600. Somebody who's looking for a PCGS 68 registry might be interested in that. You see a good profit, I'm all for it. Send away. If you think that it has a chance at MS70, call PCGS and say, I've got a fabulous coin specimen here. I believe it has the opportunity for 69. I really think it could even pop at 70. That ranges between 20 and 25,000. There's only 7 of them. I know how stringent that is. If it does reach one of those top pops, what would the shipping, what would the cost be? And then they can work with you and talk with you and walk you through that. If you're going to send off any coin that has the potential for a high dollar value, you had better do that. That's just wise practice. And it would really suck to send in a coin and come to find out you get that 70, but you can't pay for the grading. So do a little bit of research, do your due diligence. And Neil, as you said, respect the hustle, right? So just keep that in mind. Hopefully that was beneficial.
Woo. All right. He says very helpful.
Outstanding.
Yeah. That was the reason why I wanted to get that coin graded, because it was iffy. Most of us thought that it might make it to 66, but we weren't real positive sure. So I wanted to get it graded just to see if it would make it, and it did.
Hey, Raleigh.
I had both my fingers and my toes crossed. But I'm so happy to have gotten that and gotten that grade. And PCGS ain't no slouch. They, them and NGC are pretty tough on their grades, in my opinion.
Yeah, there are differences between the grading companies,
True.
and they grade differently. CAC came on the scene and kind of put some pressure on both of the companies to kind of tighten up their grading a little bit. They grade a little bit better now. But you'll see some discrepancies between NGC and PCGS. There's still two at the top. Anax is really good. I really like CAC. Might have an opportunity to talk with the creator of CAC on my channel. Talk a little bit about the process of grading a coin and when would you grade a coin, and kind of talk about that. So
That would
we'll
be interesting.
see about that. One of the contacts that I made through the Anti-Counterfeiting Educational Foundation is connecting me with Mr. Roddenberry or whatever. That's
Yeah.
Gene Roddenberry, I think in Star Trek. But anyway, get with him and having a conversation. So hopefully that amounts to something.
Yeah, that would be really good. We need that out there. We need all the help we can get.
I don't know why I just went completely blank on his name. John Albanese. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know why I went so blank.
Really? There you are. I seen you in there, but I just was enjoying it. I didn't want to talk over Frostbite's when he was telling us his story there or the history on that coin. I get so enthralled in listening and trying to hear what he's saying, and so I don't even want to talk to anybody, and I don't really even want to chat. That's the difficult thing about this, because I'm hearing a good story or some facts about a coin, and as much as I want to say hey to everybody, I don't, and so it kind of leaves it to Nancy and yeah. But anyway, it's good to see all you folks that are here in the chat, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. I was glad that he honored us by coming over, and his time is precious, and he spent his time, very valuable time, to come over and talk about this particular coin, and then tell us a story about the about the robbers and the thieves and the bank robbers and all that. Yeah.
I enjoy that stuff. Real quick, if you want to know more about the Maryland Tercentenary, I dropped that video just a couple of weeks ago. So you can go to my channel, Richard, at Frostbite Coins. It's Frost, BYTE. And if you go to playlists and you pull up the commemorative coin series, scroll to the bottom and you'll see the Maryland Tercentenary. I did a whole 7, 8, 9, 10-minute video on it. You'll get all the information on that one. So go ahead and check that out. That is a great playlist. I still got a number of videos. I have done 36 videos, and there were 61 coins in this series. So I'm a little past halfway. So I've already done 36 videos on this coin series. So a lot of.
Yeah. Thank you, Neil, for putting his Frostbite's channel in the chat there.
Appreciate that, Neil. And T-Bird did that too.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys. Well, anything else? Because if not, I'm going to wrap up and finish my preparation for tomorrow on the stream tomorrow.
Woo.
We're going to be talking about something that a lot of people may not really know about, and that is the kind of written and unwritten rules of coin shop and coin show etiquette. And what I'm doing is I'm going to kind of build a guide that's going to be available on my my channel. We got some really amazing people on the stream tomorrow.
Mhm.
We've got Mike Nodelman from Harlan J. Burke. We've got
Whoa,
Paula
yeah.
Bloom, Eric Byer. We've got Jack Young. So we got some big names that are going to be up on the channel talking about things that we identify at coin shops and what happens if you find a counterfeit coin at a coin shop, and if you want to search for varieties and errors, what should you do and how should you manage it? And if you go to a coin shop with somebody you know, how do you approach them and get their attention if they're with a client? At what point do you acknowledge that? What point do you let them do their job? So
Yeah.
we're going to be talking a lot about that. It's one of those things, just like bowling or playing darts. When somebody's up to play, you don't walk up next to them and just do your thing. Let them finish out, and then you go up and you approach it afterwards.
Mhm.
Especially when you're talking about dealing with money, folks. People don't want you in their business. So it's a very, very important topic, and hopefully something that you guys find beneficial as well.
Yeah. I think I look for
Neil, when am I giving away platinum on my channel? As soon as you send it to me, and I'll be happy to give it away on the channel.
and osmium.
Yeah, hey man, send it to me. I'll give it away. No problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
You send me osmium, I'm giving it to my wife. Just FYI.
Send me some, and I'll send it, and I'll give it to Nancy. Make sure it looks like the word, the initial N. Okay.
Oh heck yeah! I ain't never going to pretend. It's going to happen. I'm telling you. He's like, that ain't ever going to happen. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I had to pick on Neil earlier today. He was spouting information. I'm like, hold on, dude, hold on, slow down. We're going to get there. So fun stuff. But yeah. Richard Posey just subscribed. Outstanding. I appreciate that. Do me a favor, go watch one of those videos and comment on it. That'll make sure that subscription sticks around. But I definitely appreciate the support.
Yeah.
Platinum is on a gentle rise. Yeah, we were talking about a gram of platinum and how much that goes for earlier. And I think Neil has been saying this for a little while, but I think platinum and palladium are undervalued right now. So they might be good buys. The thing about platinum and palladium is you have to have an exit strategy for those. Hi, Gatita. So yeah, fun stuff. Neil's 100%. We're tracking. Him and I are on the same page on that. I'm doing some research for a video. He told me to. He said, "Brush up, dude. You're rusty on platinum and palladium." And so I'm going to do a video and talk a little bit about those and learning a lot. So I appreciate the challenge, Neil.
Well, I've had a great time, and if you're through, I think we'll say goodnight to everybody. Give us all a chance to spend a little time with our family and maybe be able to get up a little earlier to go do some wonderful things with them.
Well, hey, I'm going to give you one joke before I leave. All right.
All right, go for it.
Did you hear about the two guys who walked into the liquor store to rob it?
No.
The guy walks over and picks up a bottle, and he says, "Is this whiskey?" And the guy says, "Yeah, but it's not as whiskey as robbing a bank."
Good.
I thought that was pertinent to today's conversation. So.
Yeah, that was fun.
Night,
Hey guys,
people.
thank you for coming and hanging out with us, and I really appreciate. Hey there, the Gamut. Blessings to you. And I really enjoyed Frostbite, and we'll have him back on probably in a few weeks. He's always got something to tell us, something we need to know.
Okay, says good stuff.
Good stuff. Yeah, great stuff. Thank you, Frostbite. Appreciate you.
Absolutely, brother. Happy to do it. I appreciate you guys honoring me with the spot on your stream. So thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Good night, folks. Woohoo! Oh, we still in here, ain't we?
Woohoo! Let's try this again.
Sorry.
Ready?